There was a time when people believed that breaking a simple inner rule could quietly ruin an entire life. Not through punishment, but through imbalance that slowly spread, from the mind to decisions to destiny. What if one unnoticed choice was enough to tilt everything? What if the damage didn't arrive all at once, but whispered day by day? How would you even know the moment you crossed the line if nothing seemed to happen at first? And if your thoughts began to change before your actions, were those thoughts truly yours anymore? At what point does a small inner fracture become a fate you can't escape? Ancient civilizations, Egypt, Greece, India, China, and Mesopotamia, shared something unusual. They lived by rules rarely written down, rules not enforced by kings or armies, but upheld by personal discipline and inner restraint. These principles governed how people spoke, how they waited, how they observed the world, and how they controlled themselves. They believed these rules were not mere traditions, but forces that kept the cosmos in balance and the human mind in harmony. To break them was not a crime. It carried no punishment from the state. But it was believed to invite chaos within the soul and across the world itself. Tonight, we uncover 4 of these forgotten rules, ancient laws of self-mastery that civilizations believed should never be broken. The first rule was balance. To ancient civilizations, balance was not a moral ideal. It was the natural condition of life itself. They believed that excess was dangerous. Too much power invited tyranny. Too much pleasure weakened the spirit. Too much ambition led to ruin. Nature was their greatest teacher. The seasons never hurried. Day never erased night. Nothing existed in permanence. Everything moved in cycles. And so, they tried to live the same way. Balance shaped everyday decisions. How much to eat, how much to work, how much to want. They believed imbalance clouded the mind. It pushed people toward extremes, anger instead of patience, fear instead of understanding. A balanced life, they believed, produced clear judgment. And clarity, above all else, was the highest form of intelligence. The second rule was silence. In ancient traditions, silence was not emptiness, it was a form of power. They believed words shaped reality. Once released, they could never be taken back. So silence was practiced with intention. Important knowledge was rarely spoken aloud. It was guarded, revealed only after time, patience, and careful observation. Not everyone was meant to speak, and not every moment deserved words. Silence trained restraint. It sharpened listening. It revealed patterns that noise concealed. They believed those who spoke too quickly revealed too much, their fears, their cravings, their weaknesses. Those who remained silent, on the other hand, gained insight. In moments of anger, silence protected judgment. In moments of uncertainty, it allowed truth to surface on its own. Breaking this rule did not bring immediate punishment, but over time, it was believed to erode awareness, one careless word at a time. The third rule was observation. Ancient civilizations believed the world was never silent. It was always speaking, through patterns, through repetition, through the quiet language of behavior. But only the patient could hear it. Before they acted, they observed. Before they decided, they watched. They studied people closely, how emotions returned in cycles, how the same mistakes resurfaced under different names, how desires disguised themselves as necessities. They understood that observation created distance, distance from impulse, distance from illusion. To observe was not to judge, but to see clearly without being pulled in. Those who reacted immediately were believed to be ruled by circumstances. Those who observed first were believed to rule themselves. They knew that truth rarely announces itself loudly. It does not demand attention. It reveals itself quietly over time to those willing to wait. Observation became foresight, and foresight was protection, a shield for the mind against regret and a guide toward wiser action. To observe was not weakness. It was discipline. It was power. It was the art of seeing before moving. The fourth rule was self-control. Ancient people believed the greatest battlefield was not the world outside, but the mind within. A constant struggle between impulse and restraint, between reaction and choice. Self-control was never seen as suppression. It was mastery. Emotions were not denied. They were acknowledged, understood, and respected, but never allowed to take the throne. Anger could protect, but left unchecked, it could destroy. Desire could drive progress, but without limits, it could consume everything. Those who lacked self-control were not considered weak. They were considered ungoverned. Because a person who could not command themselves was not trusted to lead others, to uphold honor, or to be relied upon when pressure arrived. Discipline mattered even in private moments, especially then. Ancient thinkers believed that habits formed in silence shaped character, and character shaped destiny. Breaking this rule did not bring immediate collapse. There was no sudden punishment, no instant failure. Instead, it worked quietly, eroding inner strength, weakening resolve, until the mind no longer obeyed its own intentions. Self-control, they believed, was the foundation of freedom. Without it, nothing else could stand. Balance, silence, observation, self-control. These were not laws carved in stone. They were not commandments handed down from above. They were rules woven into the rhythm of daily life. Ancient civilizations believed that by following them, the inner world could align with the outer one. They did not promise wealth, power, or fame. They promised something far rarer: clarity. Today, these rules are seldom spoken, not because they were wrong, but because they are easy to forget. And perhaps the real mystery is not why ancient people followed them. It is what happens to a mind and to a world when such rules fade from memory and the quiet wisdom of the past is lost to noise and haste.